everyone, and welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Sling TV. I am Mike Barner. He is Kirien Sprecher, and we come to you every Wednesday to give you the information that you need to win your fantasy basketball leagues. Kirien, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty great, Mike. Ready for these NBA slates to start picking up and fantasy to get back into full swing.
And the reason why we're seeing one or two or no games a night is because of the NBA Cup, which is now over after last night's championship game between the Knicks and Spurs. The Knicks win the NBA Cup. They can hang a banner in Madison Square Garden. Jalen Brunson is named the Emirates NBA Cup MVP. He had 25 points and 8 assists in the game last night. Some big takeaways from that game. OG Anunoby was great. He had 28 points. Knicks bench, Jordan Clarkson, Tyler Kolek were awesome. Mitchell Robinson, Kirien, he had 15 rebounds. 10 of them were offensive boards. How about Mitchell Robinson, Kirien?
Yeah, Mitchell Robinson was absolutely fantastic. I feel like every time he gets an offensive rebound, the Knicks just get a wide open three, which is pretty good offense. I know, the Rockets are also one of those teams that have been pounding the offensive boards really heavily. And that, that kind of has gone away in the era of this era of the NBA because you got to get back on defense, right? Transition. But I'm really enjoying this resurgence of the offensive rebounds this year, and Mitchell Robinson is a great candidate for that. You also mentioned Tyler Kolek. I'll just air my grievances right now. This game not counting towards any of the stats is just absolutely ridiculous. Kolek hadn't scored more than 8 points in a game yet this season, so he had 15 last night. I think 14 last night, 14, 5, and 5. Those were all season highs for him, but it doesn't count. None of it matters. Best game of Tyler Kolek's season. I guess he gets all of that money and he can be happy about that. But when you look back on his season, you're going to forget this performance because it's not going to be in any of the stats.
Tyler Kolek looks like he should be in an 80s teens movie. I don't know. His hair, just the way he looks, I feel like he could be, the older brother in the Goonies or something like that. He'd be perfect for that. Now, on the Spurs side of things, Wemby came off the bench again, but he did play a little bit more. He played 25 minutes in the game, had 18 points off the bench. As a guy who took the over on his 21.5 points, I hated the missed dunk and the 2 missed free throws early in the game, but I digress. Stephon Castle, awesome game from him last night. 15 points, 12 assists, and 7 rebounds. And Dylan Harper, 21 points off the bench, 5 3-pointers, a little bit of garbage time scoring from him. I know at least one of those 3-pointers was when the game didn't mean anything. But, Kirien, that Spurs guard rotation is crazy deep.
Yeah, absolutely. And in this matchup, against the Knicks, who have Cat and Mitchell Robinson, but after that, their height is pretty limited. The Spurs were able to play a lot of those 3-guard lineups, and you can see how much fun they are. Similar to Tyler Kolek, Dylan Harper, his season high of made threes coming into last night was 2, right? And he hit 5 last night. So only his third 20-point game, only with quotes, right? He's a rookie. 3 20-point games as a rookie is pretty impressive. But again, this is not going to count when you look back at Dylan Harper's stat line. You mentioned Wemby. Played 25 minutes, was impactful, but he was a team worst -18. So still some cobwebs to shake out there with Wemby. And you also mentioned Stephon Castle. I took the over on Stephon Castle's assist props last night. He had, going into the semifinals game, he had dished out at least 5 assists in all but like 2 games. And then, they're getting healthy. They get Wemby back. Fox is back. Castle. Everybody is healthy. So Castle's assist props was way down last night and capitalized on that major. Even when they're at full strength, I think Castle is going to be one of the primary initiators on this team. He just has a knack for getting 2 feet in the paint and finding open guys. So, yeah, I think Castle, maybe his scoring goes down a little bit with Wemby back, but I think Castle is going to push De'Aaron Fox for the team lead in assists this year for the Spurs.
De'Aaron Fox is not afraid to just shoot. Doesn't necessarily have to be passing the ball, so I love that. I mean, Castle's going to be great for assists from here on out. Like you were talking on the wagering side of things. That's something I'd be keeping my eye on every night. I mean, you saw he was just like throwing them up somewhere near the rim, and Wembanyama would dunk it. So it's like just having that. You don't even have to be accurate on the lobs. Just throw it over the defense and anywhere near the rim, and Wembanyama can put it in.
The one where he was like almost out of bounds and he threw it up to Wemby was ridiculous.
And he should have had at least one more because Wemby missed that one.
Yeah.
Open. Not bitter about that whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, it was just a great performance. And now, mercifully, the NBA Cup is over. The Knicks can get their championship medals and trinkets and whatever, and their extra paycheck, which is great. We only have 2 games tonight, but then we get back up to a busier schedule as the week moves along, and we can smile and enjoy our 6, 7, and 8 game slate. So now we're putting the NBA Cup in the rearview mirror, and we're going to focus moving forward. We have injuries. No, you don't say, Mike. Yes, we have injuries to talk about. Ja Morant, the Grizzlies are one of the 4 teams playing tonight, and he is listed as questionable against the Timberwolves. He hurt his ankle in Monday's game over the Clippers. The Grizzlies could be very thin in this game at point guard. Cam Spencer has been ruled out for a personal reason. So if Morant can't play, Kirien, and you're playing DFS tonight, or you're looking for a streamer for assists, Vince Williams Jr., right?
Yeah, absolutely. We saw what Vince Williams was able to do when the point guard spot was his, and then obviously his production tailed off a little bit. Cam Spencer got hot, and then Ja Morant came back, but Morant and Spencer aren't there. They're going to need a lead playmaker, and I think Vince is going to have a long runway. I just have to – did you casually throw in a 6'7" joke there? Was that intentional?
No, it's not intentional. I'm sorry. I have kids. It's probably just subconsciously burned into my brain now. No, there was no 6'7" joke there. Any parent will tell you, we despise 6'7". It is one of the worst things to be created. I'd rather listen to Sesame Street all day long than hear the constant stream of 6'7" in my house here.
I just had to make sure that wasn't intentional because I was wondering who my podcast partner was after all of these years.
No one over the age of 40 is willingly throwing out 6'7" references. I promise you that.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Morant stuff, like I think this is, one of those situations where it's just a wait and see. He could get cleared tonight and play 30 minutes. But after this long injury absence, I'm very, very hesitant to say that's a likely outcome here. I think more likely than not, he's going to miss another game or two. He hasn't been super productive when he's been in there. But again, if he gets cleared, I think as fantasy managers, you just have to play him and hope for the best.
Some good news on the injury front. Trae Young was assigned to the G League on Tuesday. This comes on the heels of reports that he intends to return before December ends. When he does come back, he's probably going to be on a minutes limit for a while. We did kind of talk about him in last week's episode, so we don't need to really go too much into detail. We're not worried about Jalen Johnson. Maybe Nickeil Alexander-Walker takes a slight hit, but I think the guys you'd be most worried about, Richeche, Luke Kennard, those kind of streaming options go by the wayside, right, Kirien?
Yeah, I think, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been a revelation, for a lack of a better term, for the Hawks this season. Just absolutely stellar in Trae Young's absence. And one of the, obviously Jalen Johnson's probably the biggest reason why they've been able to stay afloat. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker is right there. I don't want to say he's going to be relegated to just streaming because he has been so good this year. But I do think, maybe a move to the bench is in store. Maybe Richeche goes to the bench, but I'm still holding Alexander Walker for sure and a wait and see what the rotation looks like when Trae Young comes back. But yeah, Richeche was already kind of, on my bad side. I love the upside with Richeche, but the production just isn't there. Most of the good games that he's had from a fantasy perspective, a lot of that production has come in garbage time. He had one game this year where he had 3 steals and 2 blocks, and all 5 of those came in the last 3 minutes when the Hawks were down 20. So yeah, I'm Richeche and Luke Kennard can be moved to the waiver wire in standard leagues for me, but I'm definitely holding Nickeil Alexander-Walker with Young's return appearing imminent.
Kirien, I'm going to sound the alarm. I'm going to send a flare up in the air for everyone to see. Is it tanking season already for the Utah Jazz? Our last topic here of this segment The Jazz sat out Jusuf Nurkic for rest on Monday. Now, that was not part of a back-to-back set. They had played 3 games prior. Another notable roster change or lineup change from that game, Svi Mikhailuk was removed from the starting lineup. He had started every game this season. Not only did he not start, he didn't play at all. Replacing those 2 in the starting lineups were Kyle Filipowski and Bryce Sensabaugh, a couple of youngsters. Be careful. Be careful. The Utah Jazz might already be showing us it's time to tank, Kirien.
Yeah, I think that's fair because they've won too many games early in the year. They're better than they were supposed to be. And Will Hardy, Keyonte George, Lauri Markkanen. This team is better than they were expected to be. I don't think the organized or like the front office wants to win games. It's funny to say this team is on, is trying to tank when they're on a 2-game winning streak, but which is pretty unusual for the Jazz. But I think you're right. I think there's a lot of young players in Utah that are going to get prioritized minutes. You've kind of said this for a couple of weeks now with Jusuf Nurkic. They kind of were giving him some rest days and letting Kyle Filipowski start. So I think this is just fantasy nightmare, right? For us, especially for those of us in weekly settings, right? Because you start, maybe you start Nurkic 1 week and then he takes 2 games off that week and then you bench him, but then he plays all of the games. This is not great at all, especially because they're all healthy, right? Once you start to see maybe, if someone's out for a couple of weeks, then maybe we can trust Sensabaugh or trust Taylor Hendricks as streamers. But right now it's like, you don't know if they're going to play 20 minutes or 5 minutes or 0 minutes. So this is just, I think you're right that the Jazz do want to lean more into their youth. So I think it's a very viable strategy to go out and stash some of these younger players. But I don't think there's going to be much reliable, consistent production from anyone outside of Keyonte George and Lauri Markkanen here for Utah for the next couple of weeks. And it's kind of just a wait and see. But like I said, if you pick up Taylor Hendricks right now and you have an open roster spot, he could be fantasy gold in a couple of weeks, maybe a month.
My recommendation, if you have Lauri Markkanen, I know his stats are insane. I know there's a chance he could be traded. I don't want him on my fantasy team right now. I'm sorry. I'd rather sell him a month too early than have DNPs during the fantasy playoffs. So I'm trading him. Jusuf Nurkic, get rid of him. If you can get anything for him in a trade, get rid of him. I want Kyle Filipowski on my team.
Yeah.
If he's on waivers, I want to add him. If I can trade for him, send out a buy low offer. I want Kyle Filipowski on my teams.
How would you rank Filipowski, Hendricks, Collier, Sensabaugh as like stash options? I feel
Filipowski, number 1,
yeah,
head and shoulders above everybody.
He's already rostered in a couple of my deeper leagues.
Correct. He was like, when I did a column last week for one of the waiver wire columns I do for RotoWire, he was only 48% rostered in Yahoo leagues. Now, he's probably rostered in more than half of ESPN, Fantrax, those kinds of things. But that check your waiver wire, see if he's out there. But he's probably a last couple guys on a roster for a fantasy manager in the league that owns him. Try and get him in a trade. So he would be top for me. Sensabaugh would be my guy if you want points. He's a chucker. You love Sensabaugh if you need points. He's a chucker. Hendricks would probably be 4th for me. Collier, I'll be the first to admit, you probably shouldn't ask me Isaiah Collier questions because I like him more than most people. But if you need assists, he would be the guy that I would stash. We're going to talk about Keyonte George here, Kirien, in a minute. But before we do that, a word from our good friends at Dabble. Dabble isn't just another DFS app. It's the ultimate social platform where you can connect with other fantasy sports lovers. Dabble lets you win big. You can win up to 5,000 times your money this basketball season. Starting with Dabble is easy. New users get $25 free when signing up. No deposit necessary. Check out the link in the episode description below to download Dabble now. Okay, now, Kirien, we're going to get into a segment that we're going to call Old or New. We're going to compare an old veteran in the NBA and a youngster and talk about which one of them we would rather have for the rest of the fantasy basketball season. So our first matchup, tried to make these a little spicy. So we've got something fun to talk about. Kirien, would you rather have Derrick White or Knueppel?
I'm gonna go Knueppel here. I know the Celtics are good. I think they're sitting in fourth place right now in the Eastern Conference. I expect them to continue to compete, which means Derrick White's production isn't going anywhere. But I play in a lot of category leagues, so maybe if in a points league, I'd be more willing to go with Derrick White here. But his efficiency just hasn't been quite up to par. Obviously, Knueppel might run into the rookie wall eventually, and he might have some poor shooting nights. But the kid is just super efficient in passing the ball, in scoring the ball. I just really like his game. You're hearing all of these reports about Knueppel being the franchise player, right? So I don't think there's. I think the Hornets, who knows what the Hornets are going to do, but I think it would be a disservice to kind of to sit Con at the end of the season. Maybe he's going for a Rookie of the Year award. He needs to play in those games. So as of right now, I'm not worried about Knueppel resting. So I'm going to take Knueppel over Derrick White.
I will take the opposite side. I will take Derrick White. Now, you mentioned the efficiency numbers. Big problem for Derrick White. He's shooting under 40% from the field. However, over the last 13 games, he's shooting 44.9% from the field. So he is starting to look like the old Derrick White. The reason why I'm taking him is just like you said. Any thought of this being a quote-unquote gap year for the Celtics where they got rid of those veterans, Tatum's not playing, so let's improve our draft pick and kind of do like a one-year retool and get a good young player to put with Tatum and Brown going forward. That's out the window. They're the fourth seed in the East. The bottom of the Eastern Conference is awful. They already, even if the Celtics wanted to tank right now, I don't think they would fall out of the play tournament. I just don't think it's possible. The Bulls are that bad. Everybody below the Bulls are that bad. The whole Giannis mess in Milwaukee. So I think they're locked in minimum top 8. I think they're probably locked into a top 6 seed. So I don't think they're going to tank. I think we're going to see plenty of Derrick White. Now, I don't think Knueppel is going to sit either. If someone's going to sit on the Hornets, it's Brandon Miller, it's LaMelo Ball, it's those guys. It's not Knueppel. But I think you're going to get a higher floor with White. I like the efficiency proving recently. I think he's turning things around, and he'd be my pick.
Total. I think that this is one of the ones where it was closer to me. I feel like I'm more strongly opinionated on the next 3.
All right, the next one. Oh, it's juicy. 2 guys, one guy that Kirien loves and one guy that we both hate. Zach LaVine or Keyonte George, Kirien?
Yeah, it's got to be Keyonte George here. Zach LaVine's production is just way too inconsistent. You don't know what to trust. We're talking about, maybe the Jazz are tanking. And last year when they tanked, they went to Collier over Keyonte George. Who knows if that was a strategy to win games or what? We've been over that plenty of times. I'm riding the hot hand with Keyonte George. Maybe Zach LaVine gets traded to a better situation. But it's still that would drop down his overall numbers, even if it increased his efficiency a little bit. But right now, I want nothing to do with the Kings, which is funny to say when you're taking a Utah Jazz player. But I think Keyonte George is one of the few bright spots there.
Completely agree. I won't assume the risk with Lauri Markkanen. I don't. His value is too high.
Yeah.
With Keyonte George, if we're comparing him to Zach LaVine, yes, that is a 100%. I'll take Keyonte George. I mean, Zach LaVine's not even healthy right now. He's got an ankle injury. He's going to miss at least a week. I don't think the Kings can trade him. I think they are the only team in the league that was dumb enough to take his contract from the Bulls. Literally the only team in the league dumb enough to do it. I think if they trade anybody, it's DeRozan, because someone would rather have his veteran. He's more of a malleable guy that I think won't be so much. Give me the ball. I have to play 30 minutes. I think he'll be a little bit better about that. I think Zach LaVine is on this Kings team for the rest of the season, which means Russell Westbrook's not going anywhere. He's stuck on this team. No one's going to trade for him. So he's basically empty points. He's not getting you many rebounds. He's not getting you many assists. He's hurt. He has a checkered injury history. I think we can move on from this one pretty quickly because Kirien and I, hands up, no problem, Keyonte George. You want to add anything, Kirien?
No, I was just going to say that, maybe if, with Utah, we talked about Utah tanking, maybe Keontae's efficiency goes down when there's, lesser players surrounding him or whatever. But even in that situation, like he's basically gives you all of the same floor that LaVine does with the empty points and all of that nonsense. And I mean, I think I think Keyonte George this is his breakout year, right? But right now he is trying to play for like, I am a player to build around in this league, right? So I think even though he's proven himself and proven that, the last couple of years are behind him, and this is the new player that he is, I think he's still proving that this is the type of player that he can be for his entire career. And it's not just, a half a season blip on a bad team. It's you build around me. I'm not going to be relegated to like a Jordan Clarkson role, a 6-man role. If I go to a contender, I am the guy. I can be an all-star. I can do those types of things. And he has to prove that, but I think he's going to get the chance to prove that.
Before we move on to our final two battles of old versus new, a word from our friends at Sling TV. Tired of paying for live TV you don't watch? With Sling, you can get all the live sports, news, and entertainment you want, only when you want it. Get your hands on a Sling 1-day, 3-day, or 7-day pass starting at just $4.99. Get over 30 of your favorite channels for the best price and stop overpaying for full-time live TV plans. Sling has a pass for any occasion. Big game tonight? Grab a 1-day pass for just $4.99. Want a full week of live TV for one low price? Get a 7-day pass. And for all those weekend watchers out there, you can enjoy live sports, news, and entertainment from Friday morning to Sunday night with a 3-day pass. Only Sling lets you watch when you want, so you only pay for what you watch. Get live TV on the day, week, or weekend, your choice, all for a great price. Watch live TV on your terms starting at just $4.99. Sling lets you do that. Use the link below to sign up today. For our last two battles, we are also going to combine them with the Bulls Minute because we have a couple of Bulls players to discuss. This is going to be like a Bulls 5 to 8 minutes, but I digress. Our first battle of old versus new, Nikola Vucevic versus Onyeka Okongwu. Who do you want, Kirien?
I'm going young all day here. Give me Okongwu. The Kristaps Porzingis thing, he was diagnosed with POTS last offseason, right after his there was like a bout with illness, and he wasn't really fully available. And then when he was available in the postseason, he didn't really look himself. He moved past that this season, was playing pretty well, and now he's ill again. The reporting has been kind of vague. Excuse me. It doesn't sound like he has a bout with POTS again, but I think what the reporting is saying is that since he had POTS, every illness that he has now is going to be a little bit more severe and a little bit more, they're going to be more cautious with this. I have no idea when Porzingis is going to play again this year. I have no idea how productive he'll be able to be, how many minutes he'll be able to play. Okongwu has been fantastic. Even if this situation with KP wasn't happening, Okongwu is playing well enough to just take that starting job in the first place. But with the Porzingis situation, I'm fully all on board with Okongwu. You look at his defensive stats. I don't even want to say them. Just go look on his player page. His defensive stats have been absolutely out of this world. The offense is coming around a little bit. I promise I won't swear during this segment of the Bulls Minute this time. Sorry, folks, for that a couple weeks ago. But Vucevic, we know what Vucevic is. He's been that type of player for a long time. He's very solid. Sometimes you can be a little disappointed if you invested a little bit too highly in him. But like, I still think he's a consistent, solid player. But I'm taking the young upside. I'm trying to play to win my fantasy championships, and Okongwu is going to be on more fantasy winning championships than Vucevic is going to be.
Agree. This is Okongwu all the way for me. Here's over the last 14 games. He's averaging 18.4 points, 7.2 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 1.1 steals, 1.6 blocks, and 2.6 3-pointers. That's everything. He's doing it everywhere. And Vucevic is losing minutes to Zach Collins and Jalen Smith because he plays no defense, and the Bulls are pathetic. So, yes, this is Okongwu, hands down. Our last battle of old versus new, and this is appropriate timing with how great this guy looked in the NBA Cup last night. OG Anunoby or Bulls, hopefully future legend, Matas Buzelis? Which one, Kirien?
This is really hard for me.
This tugs at the heartstrings, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think
I did this on purpose.
I think the correct answer has to be Anunoby. But I don't want to say that. I think Anunoby's in points leagues, maybe Buzelis gets you a little bit more juice. But I think Anunoby is the only thing you have to worry about with Anunoby here is an injury. If he stays healthy, he's going to outproduce Buzelis, especially since Buzelis can't seemingly play 30 plus minutes every night. That just knocks him down a little bit for me. And he hasn't been as efficient as he was to end his rookie year. I'm still expecting good things from Buzelis, in the second half of the season, as we go forward here. But Anunoby has been there, done that. He looked absolutely fantastic last night. The Knicks, early in the season, I was hesitant to say the Knicks look like true title contenders. And I don't want to overreact to, Spike Lee and all these Knicks fans, raising the banner like they won an NBA championship or anything, but their offense looks absolutely lethal right now. And as long as Anunoby and Mitchell Robinson are healthy, their defense is going to be good enough. I'm just going to take Anunoby here, even though I'm probably going to have to go cry after this episode for not taking my boy Buzelis.
The heart says Buzelis. The head says Anunoby. I completely agree here. You've got to go Anunoby. The only reason why this is even close is because of Anunoby's injury history. Last year was a fluke. He was really healthy, and he played a lot of minutes. Oh, I guess Tibbs didn't run him into the ground, but I digress. I will say Buzelis hasn't been as bad as you might think. He's averaging 13.6 points, 5.5 rebounds. But what you like, see, here's this. Neither of those numbers are great. But he's also averaging 1.4 blocks, almost a steal, 1.4 three-pointers. He's shooting just over 47% from the field. He's shooting over 82% from the free throw line. So he's not hurting you anywhere. He's just not helping us in much as points and rebounds as we would like. So I don't think there's any panic. If you want to try and float out an offer to get Buzelis in your league, I'm okay with that. What bothers me is, why is he the only guy that Billy Donovan holds accountable for anything? Can we hold Patrick Williams accountable? I mean, Vucevic, he can't guard anybody. It's the same thing on the pick and roll every time. He's been in the league all these years. He hasn't learned, but Buzelis misses one defensive assignment and he plays 20 minutes. Come on, Billy. Hold somebody else accountable for once. Not poor Buzelis.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
He's attacking our young guys, Kirien. Billy Donovan is an ageist.
He would like this episode then, right?
We're going to get a complaint from Billy Donovan's agent. So I'm going to quickly move on. We're going to answer some questions here in a minute. But before we do that, a word from our friends at Chalkboard. Cash in on your NBA picks this season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less on your favorite player stats to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players receive a free pick and 100% deposit match. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold, hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today is your chance to win up to $40,000 on a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines and get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports, now available in 30-plus states. Download Chalkboard today and use promo code ROTONBA, that's ROTONBA, to receive a free pick and 100% deposit match. All right, Kirien, before we get to the best segment in all of the podcasting universe, we've got a lot of questions in the chat, so let's try and burn through some of these.
All right, well, I'm just going to start with this one from Music here. Music keeps me sane. Did anyone else get screwed by the schedule last week? I was already short on games, and then my opponent got 4 games added Saturday. Yeah, the NBA Cup Finals, none of those stats counting is so dumb, and the entire scheduling situation is ridiculous. Having some of the consolation games played on a Monday, some of them played on Sunday. It's just an absolute mess for fantasy basketball. Maybe we're being a little selfish here, but we are the diehard NBA fans. If you want this NBA Cup to bring in new fans, accommodate us a little bit too, folks. The scheduling is just an absolute mess, and hopefully, you get the benefit of that this week, Music, with your players getting a couple extra games this week. All right, starting from the top, Anthony says, Ayton and Sharp for Tyler Hero, 12-team head-to-head points. What are your thoughts on this one, Mike?
No, I'm worried about Hero. He's hurt again.
Yeah.
Same injury he's been dealing with. He could be in and out of the lineup. Sharp has been very good. I know his numbers will probably take a hit when Drew Holiday comes back, but there's been no positive updates on Drew Holiday. And Jeremy Grant, I mean, if there was ever a time to try and trade him, this is it, because he looks night and day better compared to last season. And a contending team could certainly like to use him off the bench and to fill in for injuries. So, no, I'd rather have Ayton and Sharp.
Yep, totally agree. Maybe if we get some positive news on Hero soon, you can think about this trade because Hero would be an obvious must start over Ayton and Sharp if you had all three on your team. So like, if you need that one roster spot or that one starting lineup spot, you want to upgrade that, maybe you go with Hero. But right now, too much concern with that injury. Anthony also asked, should I grab Filipowski and DeJounte and stash them now? Filipowski, yes, absolutely. DeJounte, I'm a little less bullish on. Jeremiah Fears has been awesome. Jordan Poole is healthy. Maybe I don't even know if DeJounte is eligible to get traded, but he might get traded. I'm staying away from the Pelicans that aren't the rookies, Fears and Queen right now. Is that fair?
I agree. It's crazy to say I'd rather have Kyle Filipowski than DeJounte Murray in
Yeah,
fantasy basketball,
yeah.
but that's the case. I agree.
Sometimes you have to check yourself. You're like, did I really just say Kyle?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Listen, as the season moves along, you have to throw out what you thought back in November or back in September. You've got to just things change, situations change, and you just got to make those decisions sometimes.
And we haven't had any word on DeJounte since the end of September. So.
And there's no rushing him because the team stinks.
Yep.
So they're not rushing him back. And when he comes back, he's not going to play back-to-backs. He's going to be limited for a very long time. So you might not even get him playing anywhere near close to 30 minutes a game till after the All-Star break, where you could get 30 minutes a night for Kyle Filipowski for like the final 2.5 months of the season. The Jazz were resting guys right after Christmas last year, and they've already started it this year. We didn't even get to Festivus, and they're already resting guys.
No, nothing added for me here. P-Dub says, good morning, guys. Need some advice in my 10-team 9-cat league. I'm not really feeling Mathurin. Should I drop him and turn that into a streaming spot? No one seems to want to trade for him.
No, we don't drop. I'd say no, Kirien. No way.
Yeah, I mean, a 10-team, so I don't know how many roster spots you have in a 10-team, but Mathurin is still a top 100 guy. I know maybe there's been a little bit of a drop recently, but he's definitely a top 100 guy. Wemby asks, hi, guys, would you trade Harden and Dyson Daniels for Luka? 9-cat, 12-team. Also has thinking about Dyson Daniels for Derrick Queen, 9-cat, 12-team. What are your thoughts on this one? I feel like I would rather have. I don't know.
I'll take Luka. I'd rather have Luka simply because Dyson Daniels is another guy that could be nicked a little bit when Trae Young comes back. Harden, that Clippers situation is a mess. That could go south real quick. So the first one, I'd rather have Luka. Second one, I'd probably also rather have Derrick Queen.
Yeah.
I'd probably do. So I would be okay with both of those.
I was just trying to look up Dyson's recent big explosion because I know he had the 27-point game the last time out. That was only his second 20-point game of the season. Yeah. So it looks like he's kind of turning into form offensively, but who knows what happens when Trae Young comes back. Derrick Queen does it all. Luka does it all. So I think Queen and Luka give you the higher upside than Daniels. Jamal Green asked, better pickup Collier or Ryan Nembhard?
Nembhard. I love Collier. There's no bones about it. But Nembhard has a clearer path to more minutes right now. Now, his contract situation, we'll see how that goes, if the Mavericks convert that. I'm not a cap expert or a contract expert by any means. But just pure upside and production right now, I really like what Nembhard's been really good. I like him.
Yeah, he had the one scoreless outing, but other than that, his assist.
That's going to happen. The guy wasn't even drafted.
Yeah.
He's not going to give you 18 points and 10 assists every night. Yeah. There's going to be some bad games. But have you seen the bad games that Isaiah Collier is going to give you? Yeah. There's a lot more.
Totally agree. Who to drop to activate Trae Young? Anthony Black or Pods? Thank you. Oof.
Pods.
I'm not dropping Anthony Black right now.
Jalen Suggs. He can't stay healthy. He just can't. And he's hurt again. And the hip stuff, and he didn't look good. I mean, we already know Wagner's out, but I think the Suggs injury is important.
Yep. Totally agree. Black has been really, really good this year, too. And Pods has been, flashes, but you never really know what you're going to get from Golden State. LaMelo, Murphy, and Chet for Jokic, 14-man points.
Wow.
I think I'd rather have Jokic. That's a tough one though.
Here's what I'm gonna say. No, because it's a 14-team league, and depth is probably really, really important. What I would do I would keep Murphy, I would keep Chet, and then I would try to trade LaMelo for 2 lesser guys.
Okay.
So then you get better depth. I would rather do that in a 14. Now, if this was a 10-team league, I might take the other side of this.
Yeah.
But a 14-team league, I'd rather have the depth. I would definitely try to be selling on LaMelo, but I would hang on to Murphy and Chet, and then maybe you could turn LaMelo into 2 guys, plus you have Murphy and Chet, and rather than have Jokic.
I like that idea. Jackson, I guess my question here would be, if the guy who has Jokic isn't doing well right now, then you aren't going to do very well with Jokic.
That's tough.
Because
14 team is tough.
Yeah, Jokic is playing as well as he can right now. So if he's not carrying that other player in your, or that other manager in your league's team, he's not going to be able to carry your team.
Kirien, let's do 2 more questions here.
All right, perfect. Andres, hi gents. Do I look on trading Kawhi? He has been playing back-to-backs and pretty consistent scoring, but scared he will either get traded or shut down due to Clippers' bad record. Who could I get for him? That's, that last question is the biggest question there, right? It all depends on who's in your league and how excited they are. If you're playing with a bunch of people that follow the NBA, they're probably also worried that Kawhi is going to get traded or shut down, right? So that's a big concern. He has been playing well right now, and his production has been going well. Mike, give me your thoughts while I look up some trade candidates.
Trade him as fast as you can. How about this for an idea? Do you think you could get Buzelis for Kawhi Leonard? That might be something you could float out there. Somebody's probably pretty upset with we all hyped up Buzelis. Everybody loved Buzelis. And Kirien and I were right at the front of the line as Bulls fans and Buzelis lovers. We were right there. He hasn't been that bad. He hasn't been top 50 guy, top 75 guy, like possible, but he's been pretty good. If you could trade Kawhi for Buzelis, I would do that. Anybody else you think in that kind of range, Kirien?
Yeah, I think Buzelis is absolutely fantastic idea. Maybe, I
think you get Josh Hart for him? Maybe Josh Hart.
I would much rather have Josh Hart or Buzelis than Kawhi.
That's another idea.
Yeah, so,
maybe a Josh Hart, something like that.
The names that I'm looking at right now, like around like the 40 to 50 range, like Evan Mobley. Over the last 30 days, these guys are all kind of.
What about Keyonte George? The guy might be looking to sell high on Keyonte George and say the Jazz are, they're listening to the Jazz are already starting to bench guys. I better get out on Keyonte George. I'd rather assume the risk with Keyonte George than Kawhi Leonard. Totally I don't know if that's as realistic, but that's an option too.
Totally agree. Any of these, I would probably rather have Keyonte George than Buzelis at this point. Obviously, if you depending on what kind of what your positional needs are. All right, one more.
Last one, Kieran.
Jackson Campbell, Cedric Coward, Cam Johnson, Reed Shepherd, and Jordan Poole. Who do you like the most and least? 14-man points. I'm going to say rest of season in a points league, Cam Johnson is the odd man out here. And
followed closely by Jordan Poole for me.
Okay. And then the one that I like the most is probably Cedric Coward, because I think his role is a little more consistent, but I do love Reed Shepherd. If Reed Shepherd ever starts seeing Cedric Coward minutes, I will take in Reed Shepherd all day.
I think it's Cedric Coward 1A, Reed Shepherd 1B, and then Cam Johnson and Jordan Poole.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for the questions. We're sorry we couldn't get to all of them. However, Kirien, how can we get to all these questions that we might not have gotten to today?
Just right there, Sprecher RW on RotoWire or on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Just shoot me questions. You can also just come back in and hop in and watch the show tomorrow and put your questions in the comments. Me and Adam King will be here again answering all of your guys' questions. So if we didn't get to you today, please stop by tomorrow.
And now it's time for the What Was That stat lines of the week. Kirien, you are up first.
All right. So, I've looked at some Wemby lines, looked at some Jokic lines. We've been there, done that this season. I'm sticking with the future Hall of Famer category, but I'm switching up the player a little bit here. Kevin Durant during the overtime loss to the Nuggets on Monday. 25 points, 8 for 14, 2 for 3, 7 for 8. Pretty ho-hum average KD lines. 5 rebounds, 7 assists. 5 blocks for Kevin Durant. 3 of those came when he was playing as the help defender. They put, one of the forwards on Jokic. He tried to back him down, get an easy flip layup. KD out of nowhere swats him. KD was the most locked in defensively that I've seen him since his early Golden State days when he kind of had to prove himself, This Rockets team is dangerous. I right now at this moment, I would love to see Houston, Denver, Spurs, OKC in Western Conference semifinals. That seems like peak television at this moment in time. I know we just saw Houston, Denver, and then we just saw OKC, San Antonio. So maybe I'm just having a little recency bias, but give me 7 games of each of those series. That would be absolutely fantastic. Kevin Durant, 5 blocks. The man is at the tail end of his career, but he is still getting up for these big time games. What a defensive performance from Kevin Durant.
Speaking of guys getting up there in age, what was that stat line of the week? Stephen Curry at 37 years old on December 14th scored 48 points against the Trailblazers. He shot 12 for 19 from behind the arc. He also had 3 steals and a block. At 37 years old, he's averaging 12.6 3-point attempts per game this season. That's the second highest mark of his career. Warriors have been disappointing. They're 13 and 14 for the season, but 12 3-pointers, 48 points. What was that? That was a vintage Steph Curry performance.
And they lost.
I know. It's so sad what's happened out there in Golden State. They got to get rid of this Kuminga situation. It's going to be interesting to see what they do moving forward.
Steph Curry is still must-watch TV, though. Even with all of the nonsense that's going on with that team, and how ugly it is to watch them when Steph Curry is not on the floor. Maybe Spencer is having a good game, or Moses Moody is dropping in some threes. But no matter what, if Steph is playing, that's must-watch TV, man. Absolutely fantastic stuff.
And that is the end of today's RotoWire Fantasy Basketball podcast.
Hold on, Mike. Hold on.
Okay,
we have breaking news from Sean Serrania. The New York Knicks will not raise an NBA Cup banner.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! What?
I got you.
What? Oh my gosh!
They're saving space for making the finals this year and raising a banner to we made the finals but lost to OKC. That teams are going to be doing for the next 10 years.
Wow. Well, we have a programming note. The next 2 weeks, not sure if you know, but the holidays are almost here. The next 2 Wednesdays are Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. My wife would kill me if we did podcasts on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So luckily, Kirien and I have gotten clearance. The next 2 weeks, we will be doing the podcast on Tuesdays. So don't forget next Tuesday. And then the Tuesday after that, Kirien and I will be coming to you live to give you all the information that you need to win your fantasy basketball leagues. And next week, we have another big, fun holiday surprise for you. But until then, let's enjoy some actual basketball being played now that the NBA Cup is over and we have more than 1 or 2 games a night.
Absolutely, everybody. Good luck with your fantasy teams. Talk to you next week.